What's going on, everybody? Well, my mom's joined. Nick's joined. What's going on, guys? Pretty soon we're going to have Evan Carmichael on, which I'm super pumped about. So I just wanted to join. It's about 2 minutes until Evan comes on live. I don't know if I should be drinking coffee or not. I already have a lot of energy. I don't know about 21 lessons for Yuval. What's going on, everybody? Got Evan Carmichael coming on in 2 minutes. Can everybody hear me okay? Hear me, see me. The sunlight makes me look extra pale, but that's cool. Hey, we got Dan. What's going on, Dan? Rajendra, how are you? Thank you. Mr. Mishra, thank you. Let me see if I can loop Evan in. We got some hearts. I appreciate a mix of friends and a healthy book audience, which is perfect.
It's happening.
What's going on?
It's happening. We're here. It's happening.
You pulled the trick out of Nick's book, having your book in front of the screen there.
Oh yeah, I got to still work on the Nick is the man. Nick was like promoting it hard. My publisher loves Nick.
Well, mine's always introverted. Actually, my mom is on the line, and she said, Ryan, it's introverted every time you do this. So, but I don't have a library, behind me.
That's okay. I love it, man.
Hey, I appreciate you taking the time. I know we only we've got 25 minutes.
What does your shirt say? Create something
out of nothing.
The future. Nice. I love it, dude. Yeah. I love it. That's great.
Dude, every way that I can find inspiration, it comes in different ways. So I like my shirts to also inspire me when I wake up in the morning.
Dude, I call them play bigger triggers.
Nice.
It's a reminder to play bigger. Like wearing that shirt and just seeing it in your closet. I like same thing for me, dude. Wearing this. Look, let me show you what I got in my. I'm gonna take you to my office here. Look at my office. I got a life size. Oh, hold on.
Wow, look at that thing.
I got a life size mannequin wearing my. This is bigger than me. If I stand next to it, it's like it's bigger than me. So I'm 6'1", so this thing is like, it doesn't have a head on. But I was watching Green Arrow, and when they're in their home base, they're always they're not wearing their outfit, their superhero costume, and they put it on this mannequin behind them.
Sure.
So I feel like Batman wearing this thing every day. I want a mannequin wearing the Believe hoodie. Now that might seem corny, and people might look at your shirt and say that's stupid, but like having triggers in your environment that make you feel bigger and bolder and more ambitious for the day, I think is important. And even like a book,
totally.
Like maybe having, Nick in his library, having a book, having this or whatever book, inspires you, just open on your desk is a reminder every day to step up and create a better future.
Yeah, it's like an affirmation in the morning, but it's a visual affirmation instead of a verbal one.
And you don't have to remember to do it. That's the thing. Like when that shirt's hanging there in your closet and you see it, you don't have to remember to give yourself the affirmation. It's already there. It's automatic.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a trigger. It's a play bigger trigger.
Yep. I might use that.
Go for it, man. Line. Go for it.
All right. So I watched your video in advance of this.
Okay.
And as much as I would love to talk about your book, so I'll spend 1 minute on your book. I just read Built to Serve.
Okay.
I read your one word. That was, as you can tell, I'm friends with Nick, and that was one of his favorite books because of the use of family in it.
Yeah.
So we started to name Book Thinkers Family.
Yeah.
I like Built to Serve better.
Okay.
And it's actually, I was thinking of it, you know how Barstool Sports, Dave Portnoy, he gives rankings 1 to 10
Mm-hmm.
when he bites into a pizza. I would say this is top 7
Okay.
books I've read.
Wow.
And it comes back to purpose. So my favorite book is Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins.
Okay. Nice.
But that's because it hits me deep into my core,
Yeah.
which is similar. And there's a lot of self-reflection during that book, which I think is very similar to what you were able to achieve. A lot of reflection, a lot of activities that you need to create to really understand yourself and put you on the right path. So I just wanted to touch on that. And I also noticed all the detail. So the pages are a nice material. The book cover is a nice material.
Okay.
All those details matter.
Okay. Cool, man. Well, it's an honor. It's an honor. Tony was a big mentor of mine, and he still is. And got a chance to interview him and meet him, and now collaborate and stuff. So it's an honor to be in the top 7 for someone like you to read so many books. Thank you, man.
Yeah, you're welcome. I wouldn't just say that either, because a lot of authors say, "How do you think about my book?" And it can be awkward sometimes.
Like, top 50?
Kind of like it. Yeah, exactly. So this is the structure I had in mind, and I know we only have 20 minutes together, but I appreciate every minute of that. So
Cool, man.
I want to give you a little background, my story,
Okay.
kind of where I come from. I'm an entrepreneur. Well, I don't like the term, but I guess I'm an entrepreneur, and I have 2 challenges that I'm facing that I would love your perspective on, and I also think that could help the audience, because we have a lot of entrepreneurs or want-to-be entrepreneurs in the audience, future entrepreneurs.
Why don't you like the term?
What?
Why don't you like the term?
I think everyone can consider themselves an entrepreneur this day and age.
Okay.
And a lot of people aren't really like driving very hard to achieve something very great.
Okay.
So to just throw around that term kind of gets me a little perturbed, I guess.
So you feel like what if you call yourself an entrepreneur?
I feel like it's a term that is used very widely. So I don't feel like special in any way.
Okay.
I'm more. It doesn't give off an emotional effect.
No, it does. A negative one.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. No, it's good. Okay, keep going.
So then I want to quickly touch on your passion, and then I want to tell you a little bit about what we're doing at Book Thinkers, which I'd love your perspective at the end if we have time.
Mm-hmm.
Cool?
Go. Yeah. Let's do it.
All right. So my backstory, and my mom is actually on this call.
All right.
So I was, I guess my challenge in life, which has made me who I am, is my dad passed away when I was 7 years old.
Okay.
Thankfully, this isn't a sad story because I have the greatest mother on the entire planet, and I have one of the greatest families I could have ever had the opportunity to have. So I only communicate that because I thought it was kind of like my baseline. It's what created a lot of my work ethic, a lot of my passion to help and be a support system. Anyway, so had a great childhood, high school, a little bit of an introvert, went into college, and I passed this very pretty girl, and it was my first epiphany, I think, in life, because I passed her. I didn't say hello. She looked at me and smiled, and I said, man, I got to start saying hello. If there's one thing I can do, I can say hello, and maybe that'll start a conversation.
Yeah.
I also, at the same time, kept thinking about it, and if I learn how to communicate better, I have no idea what I'm doing in life. If I learn how to communicate, though, there's a better opportunity for me to achieve in whatever area of life life takes me down. So that was my first kind of epiphany. It led me into a sales career. I met Nick at Book Thinkers one day, and we were about 22 years old, and I was going out to the clubs. He was staying in to finish a book. And so that triggered another epiphany, and I started to really dive into books. I then used to track on a daily basis one goal of mine, and that goal was almost always to have a larger influence on a larger group of people or to be a business owner. So I started consulting Nick about 9 months ago. We became partners about 6 months ago, and now and then I quit my job, and And so now I'm a business owner and I guess an entrepreneur. But I want to, and I'm striving to help people. So that's the thing. It's like you have my passion to help people and to have faith aligned with an opportunity to create a career out of it, which is what got me so excited about working with Nick.
Right.
So the first challenge I have, so I mentioned that I quit. I gave my company 3 months to bring in somebody to replace me.
Okay.
They never brought anybody in, and they ended up saying, look, for a good salary and benefits and all these things, we'll keep you on board. It's kind of like a part-time thing, but you're focused on a few accounts. The CEO is my boss. He's my mentor in life. We have a great relationship, worked together for 7 years. And then this whole COVID thing happened, and they got rid of the entire sales force and kept me. So over the last month, I've been trying to build all these different products at Book Thinkers, but I've been working 40 or 50 hours on my day job again, which I quit, and I took a massive, pay cut. So I'm trying to balance my time, and I'm also trying to prioritize my happiness, and I'm kind of challenged as to whether I should jump, go back to being full-time at Book Thinkers. I have a runway of about 18 months financially, but we're a pre-revenue company with products coming out in the next month or so. So I feel like that's something that entrepreneurs often go through. It's when you kind of take your passion and make it full-time. And I've always thought once it's revenuing enough to give myself a salary, but I also have this passion in me every day to work 12 hours in the business instead of 4. So that's kind of where I'm at.
What's your who? Is it family?
No, my who is either help or faith. So I want to help a lot of people, and I've realized that, but I also believe in having faith that whatever happens in life, it's going to turn out okay.
Great.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think you already decided that there's something in the faith back to, like, your faith is your greatest strength, but it's also the greatest weakness. You already decided you don't want to be in that job. But because he's such a nice guy, and because chances are wherever you go, you're going to create community. You're going to create loyalty. You're going to create a loving environment. You're going to create family. You're just going to make that happen wherever you go. And I don't know you before this, but if I went to look back at your school clubs that you were part of, or sports teams, or friend circles, you may not have been the most popular guy, but wherever you went, you would create little circles and pockets where you included people and made them feel like they belonged, and you belonged there as well.
Yep.
Great. Well, so that's your greatest strength, and it's amazing. It's the greatest gift and asset that you should double down on when you're going to do your own business at Book Thinkers. The community aspect is something that you're going to be able to win at, where other people don't care as much. For other people, community is just a strategy. For you, it's actually deep within you. Like, you actually want to serve and help and lift these people up. But it's also the greatest weakness, and that is preventing you from walking away from the thing that's holding you back, which is the job. The connections and the love, like, you love him, you love that boss, you love the customers you built, you love everything you've done. And it's preventing you from taking the next step up in the life that you want to have.
Totally. Yeah, totally. So it's about, like, when. It's just I made that decision.
You already decided.
I did decide.
You decided like 6 months ago, or how long ago was it?
Yeah, you're right. 6 months ago.
Yeah, you already decided 6 months ago. But you got roped back in because you don't want to be unfaithful.
Correct.
You're not being unfaithful. So it's like, how can I stick to my guns of, this is what I don't want to leave you hanging, which you did. You gave him 3 months, right? Like, nobody does that.
Yeah.
But you have so much faith in wanting it to work out for them. And what they're doing is borderline abusing the faith. Like, not with it. I say borderline because it's not with intent to see you suffer.
Yeah.
They love you too. Everybody loves you. That's your problem, is everybody loves you. So now you got to decide, what are you going to do with your time? And you're going to love whoever you feel the most like faith, but also guilt towards if you walk away from.
Yeah.
You gave him more than enough time. And whether you still want to do something part-time while you do book thinkers, you have to figure out what balance looks like to you. If that's 60 hours on book thinkers and 20 hours on that business, or 40 hours on book thinkers and 10 hours on where you are in life right now, what balance looks like to you. But it's not this. It's not full-time at that company and evenings and weekends at your own business. Like, sure. You're going to regret it if you don't jump and do it. Just to know whether you have your runway, working part-time, maybe extends it, but you don't want to look back on this period of time and say, I didn't do the thing that I had my chance to do because I stayed in that job that I knew that I didn't want to be a part of. Your faith is preventing you from taking the next step in your life that you need to take.
I appreciate that. Yeah, you're totally spot on. So it's having that tough conversation, but reasonable conversation with your boss to say, this is kind of what I signed up for. This is what we talked about. You know how I feel about you and the company, and then finding some ground where I can go out and achieve what I want to achieve.
How much time do you want to spend at that company? Or if anything?
Yeah. I mean, I want to create runway for the company just in case our initial product.
How much time do you want to spend in the company, at that company?
Zero. Yeah, 0 hours.
Okay, but you're only doing it because it gives you extended runway for book thinkers.
Yeah, correct.
And what's so what makes sense for you to be able to extend that runway? What do you want to be doing? 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week? Like, what makes sense?
Yep, exactly.
Somewhere
next where I was at.
Okay, yeah. And what's the best use of your time for the 10 to 20 hours that's going to create the most value for that company?
The highest value accounts. Yeah, I have the answer to that.
Okay, it's just handling the highest value accounts?
Yeah.
So then that's the conversation. Like, yeah. You go back to the boss and say, hey, hire back Phil, who you fired, and let go of everybody. Like, hire back one of them. I'll train them. I'll coach them. I'll help them. But I need to be in the 10 to 20 hours a week range for my own happiness. This isn't against, I love you. It's not against you, but I need to do this for me. Because if I don't, I'm going to regret that I might have missed my chance. Because this may not be here in 5 years for me. I need to get it down to 10 to 20 hours. That's the conversation. Sure. And that's what's good. Like, you're going to have, this is a great, just like talking to the girl. You didn't want to have a tough conversation. Like, this is, every great move in your life is going to come from having tough conversations. And as long as it's with intent and care and love, and I don't think he's going to come back and say, I hate you. You're the worst person alive. Right. He's going to find the solution because he loves you too. And he wants to see you win.
I appreciate that. All right, let's jump to the next one. I don't know why I have this on here. Hobbies during growth. So you went through a time where it was pretty tough on you mentally when you were initially starting your business. I think it was like 17, 18 years old. I know you weren't eating the best. You know, McDonald's was a treat, and chicken nuggets were a treat, and French fries. And so, like, during that time, it takes a lot of hard work to build a business. And what I'm struggling with is that balance. Like, do you incorporate hobbies during that growth time? Do you learn new hobbies? Do you I think Gary Vee, I don't want to say it, put words in his mouth, but he would say just go full force and work 14-hour days and find a way to enjoy your work. That's one of the challenges I'm facing, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs may echo that same challenge. As to how do you loop in hobbies, how often, because you got to value your happiness as much as your business.
Yeah, and that's a very, happiness, balance is a unique thing to every person. But you don't want to spend all day long on your business. You don't want to spend all day long sleeping. You don't want to spend all day long with your mom. I mean, she's watching. But you don't want to spend all day long doing any one thing, right? But how much time you spend with your mom versus business versus sleeping versus hobbies is a very personal question and will shift with time, right? In 5 years, it may look totally different. What I try to do is put it through the lens of, one, what does balance look like for me? And two, to make decisions that I'm proud of, that I feel are from a position of strength instead of weakness. So having the bag of Doritos in my office all the time is out of strength. If if you're taking up a hobby, if you're taking up salsa dancing, is it because you really want to learn it and this contributes to your happiness and balance and connection to meet people? Or is it because you're just really procrastinating on doing the work in your business that you know you're supposed to do, but you don't want to make that call? Mm-hmm. Right? The result is the same of you taking a salsa class. The reason to get into it is very, very different. And so is it actually balance? Because balance is very true and very real, and you have to figure out what that is for you. And if you sacrifice, you can sacrifice balance for so long, but then it's gonna keep hitting you in the face until it knocks you on the floor. So you have to figure out what balance looks like for you. But we'll often trick ourselves to say, well, this is really because of balance, but really it's just fear of talking to your boss.
Yeah, so true. I was thinking like I might start doing triathlons, like these mini marathon triathlons. But that's not because I think that's because I want to find another thing to do that I know I can be successful at. Where like growing a business and a family behind it, that's a more challenging thing.
So it's just fear talking. So like you don't want to do it. You don't need to do a triathlon. You need to call your boss, tell him I want 10 and 20 hours, and then run your business, right? But the reason behind it is important, right? It doesn't mean like there might be something else. So it's having to and it's awesome that you're so self-aware. And if you're ever struggling, maybe, talking to Nick, your mom might be able to shed some perspective on it. But even you be able to answer that question and say, I don't actually want to run a marathon. It just sounds like a big goal that I feel is more achievable than being an entrepreneur and running a business. That's not a good enough. That's a decision from a place of weakness as opposed to strength, right?
Yeah, which is exactly what you're communicating.
Yeah, you can put that on your Instagram and say, look at me, I ran this triathlon. But it's not actually like go build your business. It's not about balance. It's about feeling good about yourself. And feeling good about yourself should come from the effort that you're putting in, as opposed to winning some award or saying that you finished some objective.
Yeah, totally. You know what's funny? I do think one of my strengths is self-reflection.
I agree.
But then if you're good at self-reflection, you're often not as good at action. So it's
no, I don't think many people are good at action. I think you're great at self-reflection. You're just afraid. And like, welcome to being a human being. You're afraid. Great. Most people never live the life they want because they're afraid. They're afraid to ask a girl out. They're afraid to talk to their boss. They're afraid to start a business. They're afraid. So
afraid to get you on a live.
Afraid to do a live, like afraid, whatever. People are, and I'm afraid too, constantly. But what I try to teach myself is I do scary things. Like being afraid is not a good enough reason. I do scary. Scary, difficult, or hard are trigger words for me. If I ever am thinking, oh, that's scary, that's difficult, or then I have to do it just because I said it. I'm not allowed to have that be a reason for not doing it. So being an entrepreneur, I mean, back to the start of this conversation, you don't even like the word entrepreneur. Great. Being a business owner, entrepreneur is scary for you. That's not a good enough reason. You have to find out, because you're going to be 95 and look back and say, I might have been able to be something special, but I was just too afraid. And now you're actually out of time. The good news is you're still super young and you got lots of time to actually make it happen.
I'm thankful for books, because you hit the nail on the head. One of the reasons why I decided to become a business owner is, one, I journaled it every day, one goal, and that kept flashing. The other is, when you're 85 years old, Jeff Bezos says, when you're 85 years old, you're looking back on life, make a decision based on that position of reflection.
Yeah, regret minimization framework is what he calls it.
What is it?
Regret minimization framework is Jeff Bezos' term. Super geeky, nerdy, but yeah, I love it. I agree.
All right. Really appreciate all your thoughts on this, and I know Nick's gonna hammer me afterward.
Good.
And,
Everybody
he still needs to make that heart pumping decision.
Has he not done it? Nick, what are you doing?
Got like a week left.
Nick, my guy, come on. Is he in the chat?
He's in the chat, yeah.
Nick, what are we doing here? The two of you need to push each other harder.
Yeah,
harder.
We do.
Like the combined skills and ability between you, plus the heart and desire and love and willingness to serve and wanting to help people, is so insane between the two of you. And I've known Nick a little bit longer than you. I mean, this is the first time we're connected, but it's just fear and lack of momentum. That needs to be punched in the face. Like, that needs to be attacked with aggression.
Agreed. So one thing we started to do, which is kind of part of this next point,
Yeah.
is we said to ourselves, so we have a Success Buddies group, and those guys are on the call as well. Great people. And we hold each other accountable based on this weekly spreadsheet, and we log all our activities. We've done it for a year and a half.
Okay.
At the end of the week, we say, all right, what did you do good? What did you do bad? What do you want to improve on? And then we keep it going. Helped create a lot of amazing habits.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all we have for feedback. And they're, Dan and Joe are similar to Nick and I. So we said, man, we need to branch out too. And because we're some of this, we're the four of us, the smartest people in our circle.
Mm-hmm.
But you never want to be the smartest person in your circle. So I think a lot of what has to do with the success of an entrepreneur is your environment and who's in your peer group. And I just started reaching out. Well, I didn't reach out yet. I got all the pictures of people who are entrepreneurs based on hashtag entrepreneur.
Okay.
And saved all those off. And my plan is to reach out so that we can maybe create a network of people who are in similar positions that we are, and create these little mindset groups where we're doing the same thing we're doing on a weekly basis.
I think your best bet for you and Nick, I don't know the other two guys, but is most of the books you're reading nonfiction?
Yes.
I think what we just did here is what you need to do consistently every week. You read books that you love. You take, if I'm in your top 7 or whatever your one word is, maybe your one word is top 100, I don't know. Take your top books and then invite the author on to do an Instagram live with that you turn into a YouTube video, and you have some permission already in that you have an account or a network of accounts that can help give the author some promotion. You have this video as an example to say, hey, look what we did with Evan Carmichael. Yep. And you pick their brain for what you need the most help with right now. Because your current group is awesome for staying accountable for what you have planned, but they're not pushing you into the things that you can't see. So in spending just a few minutes, we already talked about, you need to go and tell your boss, have the conversation. This is why. It's very obvious to me. And why? Because I've done the pattern recognition, because I've seen guys like you so many times. And so that's the blind spot that Nick and your buddies may not be able to see, but they can hold you accountable on the action. Dude, if you're still at that job 40 hours a week next month, I want Nick coming over and splashing hot water in your face, something. We got to go.
Yeah.
They need to be on you for those things. So it's great for the accountability, but not great for the necessarily for the blind spots. That's where you bring on the authors. So The good news is there's always new books coming up. I don't know who's promoting a book right now. I think in my world, Jay Shetty's got a book coming up. Dave Hollis just launched his. Tom Bilyeu's working on a book coming up. And you probably know others that are happening. It's your world. Yeah. And the ones that you've loved especially, get the author, ask for an Instagram live to talk about their book, but turn it into a coaching session for you to say, here's what I'm struggling with. And I found some of the answers in your book, but I'd love to get more perspective. And you do that, and Nick does that, and the other two guys do that. And in that process, you get exposed. You're actually hanging out with those people where otherwise you may never meet them. And I think that's going to be more valuable than collecting entrepreneur hashtag pictures and finding more guys who are like you. You have an opportunity to reach out to people who are way above you. I did it with my YouTube channel. How did I get Tony Robbins? I met Tony Robbins. I interviewed on my channel. He invited me backstage to his events, and we've collaborated for the past 4 years or something because of my YouTube channel, right? You're going to get into circles that you feel like you don't belong in, where you're super uncomfortable and requires the growth because of the interviews and what you're creating on Instagram through your accounts.
That's so true. Yeah, I could not agree more. I didn't think there were as many people like you, Evan, who are willing to come on and do this kind of coaching session. I know we haven't touched on your book much, but I know that this is what you want to do. You want to help people.
Yeah.
Believe. And I'm probably in that category. And that's why I want to dig into this stuff. And I appreciate you talking to me about it.
Yeah, and you may not. Like some people may just stick to their points. Through this whole thing, I could have said, well, if you turn to page 48 of Build to Serve, you'll see that I talk about this, and you should all buy it. If you get it now, I've got bonuses, right? But you still have to do your part, which is if you lead with, hey, your book is in my top 20 of my favorite books of all time, and here's why I love it. And I'm really struggling with something that I think you might be able to give me some perspective on. If you led with that at the interview, as opposed to saying, here is XYZ, and you lead down a typical interview screen, you're much more likely to get a real conversation out of them. And it's actually honestly refreshing. Like all day long, I'm doing interviews and hangouts and IG lives and podcasts, and I'm going to get the same 18 questions over and over and over again. And being able to actually help and say, hey, your vulnerability and honesty to say, here's what I'm struggling with, and us being able to dive into your issues, even though we didn't talk about whatever, right?
And I love your book.
I know, but it's great. Yeah. But it's all gonna come back, dude. It's all good. That's how relationships are built. And honestly, the biggest win for me is just seeing you win. If I talk to you next year and you're still in that job, I'm gonna be so pissed off, dude. You can't be there anymore.
Let's not keep it a year, yeah.
Exactly, right? That's what I'm talking about.
I'll be in your DMs telling you about it in a week.
That's what I'm talking about. That's how you build relationships, right? And then a lot of authors may say no, but the more that you build up your network and the more you build your follow, and the more you and Nick and the other two guys are doing their thing, it increases your chances of getting a yes, right? I sent Nick my Your One Word book, or he bought it, I don't remember, years ago, right? When it first came out, and he was much smaller. And now over the past 3 years, he's grown. And if you keep on this hustle, you'll continue to grow. And the more you grow and use my name, that means something to some people. It means nothing to other people. But you keep using it to now, hey, we had Evan Carmichael on. For anybody who's following me, that may mean something, right? You can use my name for guys like Jay Shetty and Tom Bilyeu and Grant Cardone and those guys in my circle, right? If you're doing meditation or something, that's not going to be in my area. Anyway, that's the plan.
We're out of time. I really appreciate your time, and I could go on and on with you, but what you gave me today was very valuable.
Tons. Now imagine doing that every week with somebody new that you respect, because you've lined up these interviews, and then you have your group hold you accountable for actually following through. So like Nick and Co, make sure he follows through. That's it. That's your game plan. Good luck, man. I'm so pumped for you.
Believe, man. Thank you.
Believe.
Appreciate you serving always.
Cool. Take care. Much love.
All right. Much love. Cheers.